Window cleaners of Reddit, what is the weirdest thing you have seen while cleaning windows? I am not a window cleaner, but a consulting engineer working in building science and structural restoration. A number of years ago, while working in Toronto at a 38-story high-rise, we, two contractors and myself, were reviewing glazing and sealant bead and came down upon a window where a woman was grooming her bikini area. We are always taught, if you see something inappropriate you should look away. Apparently, we looked so far away we missed the metal flashing lip of the next level down. Our swing stage tilted one way and swung back and all three of us banged our heads into that lady's window. The glass didn't break but it sure scared the lady. Your life is like a Three Stooges bit. Dear God. As a fellow woman, I really hope that lady was waxing and not shaving. I know if I were shaving and three faces slammed into the window of my apartment I'd have jumped like a crazy, probably cut my femoral artery and then ended up as a Darwin Award. I only did the job for about 8 or 9 months but saw two unexpected things. Got to the top of the ladder and saw a guy I know is a priest enjoying some gnaw. I scurried back down the ladder hoping he would hear me and then slowly went back up. He obviously had heard me because when I got back to the window he was standing up reading a Bible. The other time I got to the top of the ladder and saw a woman in her 80s sitting on her bed completely naked. I was sure she saw me so I gave her a few minutes before going back to the window. When I get there she's sitting in exactly the same place, still naked, smiling at me. I got a job in an office soon after. I've been a rope access window cleaner for a couple years and have seen my fair share of weirdness. A couple incidents that stick out are: 1. A young couple having fun that invited me to join. 2. An apartment in a ritzy building completely empty other than a table with several sheets of freshly printed, uncut $100 bills. 3. A real mummy sarcophagus. I've been offered several joint hits and various adult beverages while hanging off the side of a building. Animals were always my favorite though. Cats and puppies lose their minds, seeing you outside their window, and will happily chase your mop and squeegee while you work. Always brightened the day. My ex was a high-rise window cleaner and he always talked about the crazy things women did. It seems like the glass gives them a sense of security and they do things that I don't think they'd do if that glass wasn't there. Women flashing and pressing their chests against the glass. Mooning and pressing their ass cheeks on the glass. Writing their phone numbers and pressing it against the glass. There was one point when we were engaged and he would hold his finger up and point to his ring. He wore an engagement ring too. It didn't seem to stop some of the women. In fact it made some of them try harder, he said. He did say the hardest for him were the children's hospitals and when he'd clean the windows of the very, very sick children. His company did do the dress up as superheroes thing while they cleaned the windows, which made it fun for kids, but he said it was still heartbreaking for them. A rotund lady pooping while I was doing high-rise window cleaning. You don't expect to have to close the window when in the bathroom on the 12th floor. How did I know she was pooping and not peeing? I just knew. I just knew. When I was about 16, I was doing window cleaning and grass cutting as a little side job for some extra money. Went to a house where a few people had just newly moved in, thought I'd get to them before someone else did. Knocked the door, agreed the price and got to work. All was fine till I got to the last window, one of the bedrooms. 2 people, guy and a girl, were in the process of shooting heroin. The girl was already out of it, the guy was starting to nod off. The guy was the same dude who answered the door to me. He must have forgot that I was cleaning his windows and maybe I interrupted him. Well, he forgot to close his blinds. But something was off. The girl was foaming at the mouth and I've never seen someone nod so quick, hadn't really seen anyone nod at that point. I was only 16, but the girl was foaming at the mouth. I phoned for an ambulance and then it found out they had both are dead. Deliberately. Never seen them again till like 5 years later when I saw the girl. I asked if she remembers anything from that time. Turns out she survived it, found the light and all that stuff. But her fella died that day. Something I'll never forget. Scary sight to see at 16. She thanked me for saving her life and said she will always be grateful. You were at the right place at the right time, although the sight scarred you. Yeah, took a while to get over what I'd seen. And a few years to fully understand. Good on you for calling an ambulance despite how shocking it may have been to see. Didn't really know what I was seeing at the time. Only experience I had with drugs at the time was stuff I seen on TV. But I knew that foaming at the mouth wasn't a good thing. Friend was fresh out of the shower sitting at her computer desk naked when the window cleaners were outside her window. She heard a noise, so she turned around to see two men outside her third-story window. So she screams and runs into the bathroom to hide. Later she calls the building management to complain and they tell her that a notice went out and she must not have seen it. Then building management decided to ask the window cleaning service to send those guys to her apartment to knock on the door and apologize to her. Hilariously awkward. Sorry we turned up to work on time, lady. It was our bad for doing our contracted job. Nice tits? What I got was a lot of flirting. I don't know if the pane of glass gave them a sense of safety, or if lots of office chicks are just bored, or if our red overalls were particularly fetching, but something brought out the bachelorette instinct, notes pressed against the glass, pretend lesbian performances, you name it. Only seemed to happen when there was a group of ladies though. Not a skyscraper window washer, but was a janitor who had to wash the windows in a 6-story building as part of my job, so I used a mix of ladders and rappelling down from the roof with a harness to clean the outside windows. One day I was washing the outside windows on the executive floor where all the bosses and higher up employees had their offices. I was done with one window, so I moved to the next window and looked in and saw the CEO of the company snorting something in his office with the door locked and the lights off. He looked up and saw me in the window and we made an uncomfortable eye contact for about 15 seconds, then I just pretended I saw nothing and kept washing the windows. Never spoke a word about it to him or anyone in the office, but the last day I worked there he gave me a farewell card with $200 in it and a free solar-powered portable phone charger that the company produced and sold. Not a window cleaner, but I work on roofs. Climbing up a ladder lets you see into a lot of rooms whether you like it or not. Also, a lot of people have skylights in their bathrooms. The weirdest thing I saw was a picture hanging in a customer's bathroom. The photo was the customer, a woman, in BDSM lingerie laying in the bucket of a tractor, doing some sorts of sexual pose. On the ground, in a cheering pose, hands up, smiling, was their child, maybe 4 or 5 years old, looking up at her. Super weird if you ask me. Not a window cleaner, but I was at a boring industry black tie event at a posh hotel in London a few years back. Woke up very hungover on the 12th floor, stumbled to the window and pulled open the curtains. 2 blokes stood there staring at my fat naked self. They were on one of those tall building platform things. Took me a moment to understand what the fuck was going on. Then I closed curtains and moved on with my life. Can't have been that boring, when you woke up hungover and naked. My grandfather was a window washer in the 1930s. He saw my grandmother on the other side of the glass. I had a friend and she worked as a cleaner when she was 15. She saw her classmate making out with her Barbie doll. Not me, but my uncle has been doing it for years, and had many weird encounters, but this one is kinda sad. Having changed companies, he started at this new apartment building. Near the top there was this old lady with a dog. The dog was young enough and was always excited to see him. Eventually he started talking to this woman. When he was working through a small window, they became somewhat friends. Then one day, almost a year on the job, he went up and for the first time the apartment was empty except for the dog, which he found odd. So when he was finished up he tried to check and see if she was in but got no reply. A day later a member of staff from the apartment block, I think it was the landlord but can't remember, got back to him and told him that she passed away, and that she had no family. Assuming that my uncle knew her, the landlord asked about the dog, seeing if there was anything that could be done. My uncle, being the kind fella he was, took the dog. Nearly 10 years later my uncle still has the dog, a little terrier named Pumpkin. One time in college I answered at a help wanted ad for a window cleaner. I thought it was going to be one of these high-rise jobs. Instead, when I showed up the interview, it was some addict-looking guy in a parking lot. I spent the day with him going from house to house cleaning people's windows. He told me to pretend I was his nephew and he kept introducing me to customers that way. Then when we were cleaning windows, he kept telling me his fantasies of having a sex with the housewives. It was super weird. Plus, he chewed tobacco, and while driving would spit the juice between his legs onto the floor of his ratty truck. Then at the end of the day, he told me it was just an audition and tried not to pay me. One of the strangest days of my life. I am a window cleaner, but not high-rise. The thing I can never understand is when I see lip prints where people have kissed the glass in public buildings. People, if you saw what I clean off of those every week, you would never touch the glass, especially not with your lips. Edit, since a lot of people are asking when the glass is super dirty, it's usually grease, old condiments, bird poop, salt from the sidewalks, winter in Colorado. And a lot of the time I can't even tell what it is, I just know looks and smells bad. Are there any window cleaners among you? Tell your story. And subscribe to this channel if you wanna see more same videos.